My next question is, what legacy do you hope that you will leave with your students and the singers that you are making great as a coach?
Mm, I want my students to believe in themselves and to believe in their gift, and that they are meant to perform in whatever capacity that means for them, that they are meant to share their gift with others.
Absolutely.
Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Silence with Arthur, Nikki Nicole, where you can unleash your inner voice. Breaking the Silence started with unleashing my voice, coming out of my shell. But as time passed by, the vision became more clearer. I wanted to shine the light on everyday people doing great things and be the platform for people to be themselves again, tell their stories, and heal from their scars. So I hope that you will enjoy this episode and you will continue to break the silence with me.
Hey, is it hard?
Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Silence with Arthur, Nikki Nicole, where you can unleash your inner voice. Today, season 5 is loading with some amazing people, and I'm telling you, it's just been an amazing season. I'm so excited for the people that are gracing my platform. Over the past seasons, you've seen pain uncovered, you've seen new talent discovered, and transformation has occurred too. And every episode has broke the silence in some type of way. And I will continue to shine that light, even in the darkness, to empower these great people to rise to the next level. So it's time for us to be heard. It's time for us to be healed. And it's time for us to transform. Today's guest is, now I should have asked her this question because I think I'm going to mess her name up. Her name is Renee, I'm going to say Della Scavage. I hope I got that right. She can correct me when she gets on the stage. She is a vocal powerhouse with 20 years of experience helping women to unlock their voices and sing. She's also an artist herself. I am so excited about talking to her because whether she knows it or not, I really need some advice on singing. So this was the right time and the right day for us to have this conversation. So after her countdown, please welcome her to the Breaking the Silence platform. Hello. Thank you so much for being a guest on Breaking the Silence.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. That was a fantastic intro. I love all the music. I was like over here jamming out. I'm like, all right, what song is she going to play next? Like, that was awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm gonna give you the floor. Let everybody know a little bit more about you because you have a masculine bio that you sent to me. I was like, she has. I said, I'm just gonna let her tell it and shine a light on herself.
Well, that's what happens when you get older, right? You just have more that you can talk about.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I do teach singing. I'm a voice coach. And so I started that 25 years ago, and it's really kind of funny how I got into it. Like, this is how things happen, right? We just kind of like fall into our calling. And when I was a senior in high school, my after school job, I actually babysat this little boy, Bobby. Bobby, oh my gosh, he was so much fun. This little 6-year-old boy. And his mom was a piano teacher. So I would go over to their house and I would watch him while the mom was teaching piano. And that, I was musical. I was in music in high school. So it was, she and I kind of had this cool bond. And so years later, I was graduating college. I did get a degree in applied voice. Didn't really know what I was going to do. But I got a call from my aunt whose children were taking lessons with this woman, with Bobby's mom. And she said, Bobby's mom is having another baby and she wants to take some time off from teaching. Would you teach my kids? I'm like, sure, I'll teach my cousin's piano. Yeah, why not? I'm moving back home from college. Like, let's do it. And she goes, well, I know all the other families that are taking lessons from her, and I'm going to talk to them too. So
Wow.
before you know it, I graduate college and I've got like 12, 15 students right off the bat. It was, and I honestly have never stopped since. So I've always had some teaching studio of some capacity. And that was, 25 years ago. So yeah, it's been amazing. And I started out teaching it when I was living with my parents after college, moved to a couple apartments and just moved my studio with me. And now I live in a home with my family and 3 boys, and I teach out of our living room and dining room of our house here now. So
Wow.
it's been a really fun ride.
So what made you decide, okay, I did go to school for music, but what made you specifically do the vocal coaching?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons is that where I grew up, and I grew up in like the 80s and 90s, and there weren't specialized teachers like we have today. Like, I took piano lessons and there were a few piano teachers in my town, but there weren't any voice teachers in my town. And, I did fine. I learned from my teachers in school and all that. But I remember going to college and feeling a little unprepared and wishing that I had just a little bit more of that coaching and experience prior to just jumping right into college.
Mhm.
And so, that's one of the reasons that I do what I do, because I want to be able to provide that, because, I have students, most of my singing students are like middle school and high school, the ones that I work with in person. But I have people that are really young, 6, 7, 8 years old. And we might not get into all of the anatomy of the voice and all of the
Right.
techniques, but my goodness, let's give them an opportunity to find their voice. Let's give them an
Exactly.
opportunity to, sing a song and have fun with it and enjoy making music and enjoy performing. I mean, that's huge. You get these kids that are really young and they don't understand anxiety yet. They don't understand to be self-conscious yet. And so they get up there and they're like, all right, I'm just going to sing my little heart out. And I love that. I love, that innocence in a child. It's like, yeah, you did
Mhm.
great. Like, let's sing it out. And then as I continue to work with them, we can like encourage them to keep that confidence moving along as they get older.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons that I do what I do. And another thing is, as I'm, branching into working more with women in particular, I have found in my own life, as I've had different trials in my life, I always come back to having that thing in my life that's my hobby. So for me, it's weightlifting. I love weightlifting. And I come back to that hobby of weightlifting, and when I'm doing that regularly, it just really shifts my anxiety and my mental health. And I just am feeling so much more positive and grounded as a person. And so when I'm interacting with my kids, when I'm interacting with my husband, with my business, I'm doing that so much better because I'm taking care of this thing that's important to me. And so as I'm working with women, I want to give that to them. I want, women who we tend to give everything to everybody else, right? Especially
Yes.
moms, you know, and and even as women, have aging parents, we're taking care of our parents. And so sometimes we kind of lose sight of that
Mhm.
thing that's important to us, that's our own passion. And so I really have this desire to help women reignite that passion and reignite that, that their voice and find their song again and help them in that way. And I love encouraging women to find an opportunity to perform. I think that's amazing. But even if they decide not to perform and just have something that they're working on that they can be proud of, that gives them, that confidence and that inner strength so that they can face all of the stressors and all of the things that we have to deal with every day.
Absolutely. As you were talking, I was sitting here thinking when you said you didn't have vocal coaches because I was born in the 80s and
Mhm,
didn't have the vocal coach. You had like one or two piano teachers. You did because
mhm,
I took piano lessons at 5. So I was taking piano lessons. I was always able to find a piano teacher, but nobody to really like teach you the vocals.
right.
Now at church, the choir director, she would teach us how to use our voice and where to sing from, that type of thing, but
Mhm,
no real detailed things when it came to singing. You just had to open your mouth and sing. No
mhm,
training or anything like that. But singing has just been a joy for me all my life. So,
it's
but I
awesome.
never went through like training for it. And the reason I
Mhm.
said you were here at the right time and the right day because I'm getting to actually ready to perform a song that I wrote for the first time and actually sing for the first time
Awesome.
recording wise. So I'm feeling like, oh God, my voice is not ready for this. I'm not fully trained for this. I haven't sung since like young days. But I sing to my grandson all the time. But it's different when you're just singing to your grandchildren or your
Mhm,
nieces and
mhm,
nephews. It's not like you're
mm,
singing. So now I'm trying to drink
mhm.
water. I'm trying to do all kinds of
Yes.
different things to get back to that point. So what
Yeah,
tips do
yeah.
you suggest to someone that's trying to sing and like perfect their voice and get it back in shape and healthy?
Yeah, okay. Woo! I
Mhm.
mean, how long's the podcast? Like, we could talk all day about that. So, here's the biggest thing I'll say. Your voice is made up of muscles, cartilage, all of the things that the rest of our body is made up of, right? And so think about when you have a goal to run a mile or run a marathon, whatever, a physical goal, right? Within fitness. And you have to break that down like, all right, so in order for me to meet that goal, I need to train every day because you can't just go out day one and decide to run a marathon. You've got to train your muscles. Your muscles are going to break down and they're going to grow back stronger. You're going to get more stamina. Like, so all of these things, and all of that is true of your voice. So the first thing, just in thinking about your voice as more part of your body, it is part of your body, right? Is that this is truly a journey. And so oftentimes we have to remind ourselves, like, be patient with the process, right? Just like you would need to be patient with your process if you were just starting to run or you were just starting bodybuilding, right? So that being said, there are particular warm-ups that I would give a new singer. Say, okay, here's a set of warm-ups that I would encourage you to do every day. And it's just going to, number one, it's going to help you warm up your voice so that it's going to keep you from damaging your voice, over singing, all of those types of things that happen so often. It's going to help you to strengthen your voice. So you're going to see actual progress in your tone. You're going to see progress in how long you're able to hold notes out. You're going to see progress in how high and how low you can sing. Um, and then also within those warm ups, it's going to help you be more aware of your voice. And I think sometimes this is the most important part. And sometimes we overlook it because I'm really big in like cross genre singing. So being able to sing classically, being able to sing jazz and pop and all these different genres. And in order to do that well, we have to know our voice well. We have to know. And so, there might be a contemporary song where it's going to be appropriate in that song to sing with a breathy tone. So you have to be willing to play with that, right? You have to be willing to explore, well, how does my voice make that sound? But then, in classical singing, we do not use a breathy tone. Like everything is very supported. So we need to really know, like, how do we use that diaphragm? How do we use that diaphragmatic breath to really support our sound, to sing those well-rounded, resonant notes in classical singing? So, within just a simple set of warm-ups, it will allow you to do all three of those things, really. That's what I would start with.
So as a child, children, they don't they take risk. They think they could do anything in this world, and unless somebody tell them something different. So we as adults, we're at this point and we're like, I don't think I can get in front of this crowd and I can sing to these people, and you're nervous, you're scared. So what are some things, techniques, I say techniques, that you have that where you can build confidence in people, especially women, trying to get in front of these crowds, to have that confidence to sing?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So for me personally, the first thing that I come back to is, how prepared am I? If I am not very prepared, if it's been a stressful week and I haven't had a lot of time to prepare whatever song it is I'm leading or singing, I tend to be a little bit more nervous about that. So some of it is just like checking that box, make sure that you're practicing your song every day and like really feeling good about it. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing that I would say is, you want to have something that you're telling yourself. You want to have that positive mantra that is the thing you keep telling yourself, right? So, for instance, like a great example of a mantra is when I went to a Christian university, and so our choir director always talked about how we're singing to an audience of one, right? Ultimately, when our choir is singing, we're singing to God. Like, that's who we're singing to, even though, we're maybe entertaining an audience. And so that's the mantra. Like, instead of thinking about what is the audience thinking about me, am I messing up? Are they noticing this, that, or the other thing? We're just focusing on who we're singing to, right? So that's an example of a mantra, right? And so, when I'm singing, sometimes, if it's a gig and I have a lot of friends that have come to like support and everybody's having a good time, it's kind of like almost this party environment. I'm just telling myself, just have fun, right? Like, have fun. And the audience is going to feel that. Like, they're going to feel when you're having a good time, and they're going to feel when you're not having a good time and you're like tense, and it's going to come through. And so sometimes my mantra is just, have a good time. Like, have fun with this song. Just enjoy this particular song. Enjoy these notes that you get to hang on to and just wail on. That's kind of what I enjoy doing. So having a mantra, so being prepared, having a mantra. And then the third thing is, let go of perfectionism. So lately I've been gigging with a friend of mine. So he plays guitar, I do the singing. It's been a lot of fun. And coming into it, I was rehearsing my songs a lot. I was like, oh man, I gotta get every little rhythmic thing right. And these were like 80s and 90s covers. So it's like alternative rock kind of songs. And I don't have the sheet music for it. So it's really kind of difficult for me to figure out all of these rhythmic nuances, right? And as I had been working with my partner who was playing guitar, he's like, Renee, just sing it. Just sing it. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if you doesn't. He's like, Renee, I make mistakes all the time. People don't notice, right? Because it's all about, we're just creating this environment for them. We're creating this ambiance for them. People are having a good time. We're putting them at ease. It's a Friday night. They're having a beer. They're enjoying life. That's what we're helping to create. We're not in this situation where they're going to be nitpicking our song apart. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't come into a situation without, pursuing excellence. Like I definitely, say, practice your songs, obviously, do the best that you can. But when it comes down to it, let go of that perfectionism. Oh, this isn't going to be perfect. What is perfect mean anyways? Like, what does that even mean? Right?
Right.
Because singing, it's an art. It is a form of art. And so there isn't this like black and white way to do it. And so it's all about like, what are you feeling in that moment? What are the emotions that you want to portray to your audience? What is your audience resonating with in that performance?
Wow. Now, see, that's gonna be the hard part for me, the perfection part, because
Mm.
I will practice, 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 and just go through and over again until I feel like it's right. And then I still go back and change something again, thinking that it's not perfect. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm.
battle with that part. So you being a singer yourself and having all these years of experience, how has that helped you on your journey to influence the way that you coach others?
Oh my goodness. I, so much. So a big part of my story is that in my 20s, I was a part of a pretty large church and was singing for them a lot. I was kind of like the person that got asked. And some different things happened, and some other people came into the church, and all of a sudden, I wasn't being asked to sing. And there wasn't like that conversation where they kind of said, Renee, we're going to go this direction. Like you just stopped getting asked. And it crushed my confidence. I mean, here I am. I'm teaching people how to sing, and I have a degree in singing. And by this point, I actually had my master's degree, and I'm not being asked to sing. And I'm like, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. All of this self doubt just flooded me. And it took several years, honestly, to work through that. It really did. It took me several years to really work through that. So, kind of fast forward a few years here, and we ended up moving. So we got connected into a different church. And I remember that worship team audition. I was so nervous because I was playing through all of these situations I had lived through just a few years earlier. And lo and behold, I made the team and started singing with them. And then they started giving me more responsibility, leading songs, leading several songs on a Sunday morning, those kinds of things. And there was this one particular moment where the senior pastor, he pulled me aside and he pulled aside the worship leader. And the senior pastor looked at the worship leader and he said, we need her to be leading more songs, pointing directly at me. I was like, whoa. He has no idea how much that is impacting me in this moment. After having several years of self-doubt and just kind of going this emotional roller coaster of, should I even be doing this? Is this even my gifting? And that moment was like, that just turned things around. And I tell that story because that impacts how I teach my students so much. I want my students to have this positive, safe space that they can sing in. I don't want them to ever leave working with me thinking, do I really have what it takes? Do I really sound good? Is this really what I should be? I want them to know, like, yes, if you want to sing, let's do it. Let's do it. Sure, there's always things that we can tweak to get better, but if that is your passion, then if that's something you want to do, then let's make that happen. If you can talk, if you can speak, you have a voice and you can sing. It's just a matter of finding those tools and pulling them together so that you feel confident about the voice that you're using.
Wow. See, I was gonna ask you what was the most rewarding part about you being a but you've answered that question all through the interview. Um, Everything that you're doing, you're building confidence in people, and
Yes.
you love doing that. So now I've got to retract and go back to another question. So, what do you think are some of the common vocal myths that people have or talk about all the time on a regular?
Yeah. That you're born with it. I think that's a big one. Um, again, I just keep going back to like your voice is a muscle. So if you can build your bicep, you can build your voice. If you can strengthen and bench press more weight by training for it, you can train your voice to be stronger, right? And so now, are there going to be some genetic things that make some people, your everyone's voice is unique to them. And so, yes, there are going to be things that are going to, sound make some voices more aesthetically pleasing than others, but all in all, everyone has the opportunity to build and strengthen their voice. So
So,
yeah, that would be the first thing, is that you're born with it. I don't think that that's true.
hmm. So with that being said, that means if you build your voice up over time, then does that mean that anybody can sing?
I think so. I think anybody can sing. If you can speak, then you can sing. Because what is singing? Singing is speaking on a pitch, right? I mean, that's what it is. You're just taking what words and now putting them on a specific pitch. Now, there is such a thing as tone deafness, unfortunately, but it's very, very few people that have tone deafness. And it doesn't mean they can't sing, it just means they can't hear a
Here.
pitch and sing it back to you. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So how do you keep your own vocal skills sharp and then continue to educate yourself along the way so you can coach better as well?
Yeah. Um oh, that's that's so great. When I mentioned that when I was in graduate school, that was my most fun time of teaching, because I was getting all this information and bringing it home and then implementing it in my lessons right away. And so yeah, so right now, how I train myself is, if I have a student who's struggling with something specific, especially male voices, I'll do some research on that and find out more about it, and what are some exercises that I can use to help this person. Um, so I'm finding things out on, YouTube and Instagram and things like that. And as I have been gigging, that's been interesting too, because I've been singing a little bit different genres than what I'm used to doing. And so that's been kind of like bringing me into some different techniques. So I've been one of those singers who I have tended to bring my chest voice pretty high and like rely on the strength of my chest voice. And as I've been doing these gigs, if you're singing for 3 hours, you can't be belting in your chest voice over and over for 3 hours and expect to have a voice at the end of the night. And so I have had to work on finding that resonance and like really work on, I guess people are calling it their mixed voice, really. That's really what it is. And so finding how I can sing higher in my head voice, but still maintain that strength and power of my chest voice. And so, as I've been kind of exploring that more for myself personally, I have found that that has benefited my students quite a bit. A lot of my students have a head voice, but it's pretty, tends to be a little breathy. And so, as we're working through like getting that, they kind of call it like a cry, like their resonance, like wah, wah, and like bringing that cry, that like nice forward resonance into those higher notes of the head voice really helps to bring more power into the head voice. So that's been really fun to explore myself and to help my students through as well.
Wow, you said that, it came to a point where you was doing all this work all this time and it kind of bring you to a place where you're like, wow, I'm not feeling so good with myself. And then boom, one day you're asked to do this position. So that just proves that no matter how long it takes, you still can make it to the places that you want in life, but you got to put in the work too. Got to put in
Yes,
the work to get there. So you put in the work. I don't know why you were so surprised when that happened to you, because it was time. You put in the work.
you're
So
right.
my next question is, what legacy do you hope that you will leave with your students and the singers that you are making great as a coach?
Hmm. I want my students to believe in themselves and to believe in their gift, and that they are meant to perform in whatever capacity that means for them, that they are meant to share their gift with others.
Absolutely. I always hate this when I'm on the other side, when I'm on your side, I hate when it gets down to the last question. I'm like, oh no, that's the last question. You could have kept me a little bit longer. Because my podcast friends and family, my sister, every time I go on her podcast, she always keeps me to 30 minutes. She was like, I'm on breaking the silence time. I'm not on my time. I said, no, you keep me for an hour like you keep everybody else. So, but yeah, this is the last question. It's an out of box question. If you could have a conversation with your 18-year-old self at this moment in your life, what advice would you give to her?
Mm. I would advise myself not to be pushed around by other people's opinions. And instead, like, I would want to tell myself to anchor myself in what I know to be true about myself, about God and who God has made me to be, which is a singer, and not worry so much about what everybody else is saying about me or what everybody else is saying about my voice, because that's kind of what happened in that scenario. They stopped asking me, and so then boom, all my confidence went out the window. It's like, if my confidence had been anchored in, like what you said, I'm doing the work, right? I know that this is what God has called me to. That's enough. That's enough. I don't need everyone else's approval of me, or, asking me to do this, that, and the other thing to believe in myself. And that's what I would have told 18-year-old Renee.
But we go through things in life, and sometimes I'm like, God, you took me through this, you got me through this, you took me through this again and got me through this. But it's like you already know from the beginning that this is your passion. This is something that you were born to do, and you just keep running from it. Or when something bad happens, then you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But then we have to go through these things in order for us to get to the ending, the reward at the end. But it's sad we have to go through it. But I think I would do the same thing, but have more confidence, because
Yeah.
when you sit here and just, it's all in how you believe in yourself. If you think you can't do it, then you can't do it.
Right.
And it's just that simple. But it's life. We have to live it and learn it.
Yes. Yes,
So
it's true.
live it and learn it. So now we're down to what I call the BTS 30 seconds of fame. So I'm gonna do your countdown. And when we come back, you're going to have the platform to yourself to shine as bright as you want to. Let everybody know how they can follow your journey, how they can make you their coach. This is your moment. It's the camera is on you. So when we come back after the countdown, you got the stage.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this. I hope that something you heard today just inspired you to sing, whether that means taking it from singing in the shower to singing in front of others. I hope something I said today encourages you to do that. And if you are looking for help on your singing journey, I would love to connect with you. You can find me. Actually, I have a free gift for you. You can find at reneedelvoice.com. You can email me directly to connect with me, which is Renee at reneesmusicstudio.com. And I hope to hear from you soon and help you along on your singing journey to confidence.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being a guest. I really enjoyed myself. Now that I know that the voice is something you have to constantly work on as if you're exercising, that makes
Yes.
sense. I never thought about it that way. So you
Mhm.
have dropped some really good tips, and
Good.
I hope nothing but the best on your journey. I'm so happy for you that you are finally doing something, walking in your purpose. I said walking in your purpose. When you're walking in your purpose, everything feels good. It's freedom.
Yes.
It's
Awesome.
freedom. So I wish you
Absolutely.
the best. If there's anything that I can do for you on this journey, share something or advertise you, I'm here in your corner 100% forever.
All right. Well, thank you. This
You're
has been
welcome.
awesome. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. And thank you so much to everyone else out there that's listening to this amazing episode with Miss Renee. Man, it's wonderful. Anything that you do, that you're walking in your purpose and you was born to do, it's going to pay off in the end. You just got to be patient. You got to put in the work. And God is going to take you the rest of the way. Trust me. Trust me. So as I always say, your voice matters, your life matters, you matter. And if you can think about it and believe in yourself, then you can achieve it. But it first starts off with your own mindset. Your own, you set the stone for you set the tone for your confidence in your life. And if you don't believe in it, it's not going to move. It's not. So thank you so much for tuning into this amazing episode of Breaking the Silence. I hope today's episode brought you some type of insight, encouragement, and a reminder that you can still achieve whatever your heart desires. As we continue this journey together, remember your voice, your life, everything matters. And no matter what you're trying to accomplish, just do it. You got to start. That's it. So I encourage you to reflect, share, and continue to break the silence in your own life. So until next time, later.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Breaking the Silence. I hope you found inspiration and insight in our conversation today. Remember, your voice matters, and sharing your story can be a powerful way to connect with others. So if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends and your family. Join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel for the next episode as I continue to explore the journeys that empower us to break from the silence. Until then, keep shining, winning, and unleashing your inner voice. Remember to use your voice to make a difference.